Hi guys, this is Hirosaki. This story is all about what if Naruto was the Dark Phoenix of Konoha. Naruto has a big secret, he isn't the dead last he appears to be. But why would he show that before he is ready to deal with the stones the council loves placing in his way? The Sandaime, having opened his eyes, will do his best to make sure that Konoha will retain the will of fire. Before we start, kindly like and subscribe to this channel and look over the description box for the author of this amazing storyline. Welcome aboard. Chapter 15, Revealing the Uchiha Treachery. It was Saturday afternoon. Jiraiya was in the old Uchiha district checking out the seal the Root had found. He was frowning. This didn't look like any standard seal he knew of. He channeled some chakra into the seal and watched where the chakra was directed to. The result was nothing he liked. He would need assistance with this. He turned to the Umbu that was there as a fast messenger to the Hokage in case that was needed. Raccoon, go to the Hokage and tell him I need support here. Tell him that I need Kakashi Hatake and Dark Phoenix for this. Jiraiya said. The Umbu nodded and disappeared in a body flicker. 30 minutes after Jiraiya had called for assistance, Kakashi, Dark Phoenix, and the Hokage stood next to him. What's the problem, Jiraiya? The Hokage asked. We have a level 4 seal that is somewhat different from what I have seen so far and that directs chakra all over the Uchiha district. I only pushed a small amount into the seal, but this is really worrying. I wanted to have Kakashi and Dark Phoenix here to see what they think and to neutralize that seal eventually. Jiraiya said. I think it would be best if you showed us the seal then when it is fed a bit of chakra. Kakashi said. Jiraiya nodded and repeated his earlier test. Naruto looked shocked at the array he saw. God damn it, the Uchiha were really bastards. To install something like that in their district. It probably powers through the entire village. Naruto cried out in disgust. You know this, Dark Phoenix? The Hokage asked surprised. While Jiraiya had confirmed that Naruto was indeed a seal master, he didn't think that the boy would be able to identify seals that Jiraiya didn't know. Kakashi, please check the seal with your Sharingan if there are any parts here in the district that we can't see with our normal eyes. Naruto addressed the Jonin. Kakashi nodded and pushed his headband up, only to have both eyes widen in shock. There are seals all over the whole district. Most originate from this seal, but some seem to be their own system. Wait a moment, then I'll draw it up for you. Kakashi said. He soon took a piece of paper and began drawing what he had seen. There are these two types of arrays that originate from this seal. Here in the district I mainly see the second type, only a few homes have the first type. It repeats itself over the entire district. This is the other array. He said, pointing at the two arrays he had seen. The second one is a very complex secrecy seal that is used to hide an important location. Sensei, didn't you say you couldn't find many scrolls when you cleared out the Uchiha district after the massacre? Jiraiya asked. Yes, while we found some scrolls and weapons, it was nowhere the number we had expected to be in the Uchiha district. For a clan that had copied jutsus over generations, there simply wasn't enough material. And Sasuke also didn't have more. He had a few scrolls on Sharingan techniques and fire jutsus. We looked long for the library we suspected here, but never could find it. The Hokage confirmed. Well, I guess you needed to look with a Sharingan from a certain position. The second array probably hides the library that you couldn't find. I've seen that seal being used for places like that before. Dark Phoenix, while I have only a vague idea about the first array, you seem to know what it is. Jiraiya turned to Naruto. It is a parasitic seal. It consists of a main seal, which is the one you were called to check, and many other subparts. Those are the ones Kakashi found with his Sharingan. I think from what I saw, the subparts don't only spread through the district, but over the whole village. When Jiraiya-sama powered the seal, we saw the connected parts spread out through the gate of the district. This seal works like a chakra leech. The big seal here is the receiver, the smaller ones are either the senders or sub-receivers. From what Kakashi said, here are mostly sub-receivers. This looks like a very elaborate plan to take over the whole village. If this seal would have been activated at full power, the Uchiha could have sucked out the chakra of the people in the village, left them helpless and taken over. I guess I know now why the massacre happened. Naruto angrily said. Both Jiraiya and the Hokage looked shocked. Kakashi looked resigned. To have just dodged a threat like this one. The Hokage now had the irrefutable confirmation that his decision to sign the order for the annihilation had been the right one. While they still didn't know why all the small children had been killed, they should have been exempt from the massacre, but even Itachi hadn't known what had happened with them. He had first taken out the leaders of the revolt and then every adult or teenager that had activated the eye and was in on the conspiracy. Which sadly had been most members of the clan. Can this seal still be used, Dark Phoenix? The Hokage asked. Yes, it's completely workable. And with its size and the number of connected sub-seals, it will take some time to disable. Especially as it seems they created it so that only those with the Sharingan would see the seals. Otherwise, the Hyuga would have already found the seals with their Byakugan. We need to find them all and disable them. Naruto said. The Hokage nodded. That would be a time-consuming task. I think I should first map out the seals that are spread over the village with my Sharingan. That way we can see if there is a way for others to take care of the seals once they know where they are. Kakashi said. Yes, that will be the first thing you need to do. How many shadow clones can you make and still use the Sharingan? The Hokage asked. I think 2 if I'm fully rested. Kakashi pondered. 10. Naruto said and held out some seals. These are some powerful storage seals. I tested them with my own shadow clones. In each seal is enough chakra stored to last for 5 hours under normal training conditions. Meaning learning some new jutsus. By my calculations, you should be able to have 10 clones running around with an activated Sharingan for 3 hours as the Sharingan has a slightly higher drain than constant jutsu training for you. You place the first seal on yourself to have the chakra to produce the clones, the others you place on the clones themselves. As long as they aren't hit by anybody, the seals keep them going until the stored chakra runs out. The others looked at Naruto astonished. Does that system work for everybody or do you have to tune it for each person? Jiraiya asked impressed, analyzing the seal. No, those are universal. It's just a normal chakra storage seal that I tweaked a bit to be able to power a person or shadow clone. My original idea for them was to use them to treat chakra exhaustion in a fight. You know, give somebody who is down a boost so they can get out of there while still defending themselves. And contrary to soldier pills, those seals don't have any negative effects afterwards, like receiving the whole amount of exhaustion in one major strike after they run out. If somebody stores his own chakra, there are absolutely no effects. If you use somebody else's chakra, it could be that the receiver feels a bit weird, perhaps a little bit tipsy. But I couldn't test that aspect yet. Naruto admitted. Incredible. The Hokage said. That would be a powerful tool to have in a fight. How long does it need to be powered up? He asked. For a normal ninja with average chakra reserves, I would guess it could be siphoned off during one night of sleep. One seal takes about the same amount of chakra as 2 A-rank jutsus. Of course, you could also power up the seals with more chakra output in a shorter time. I just think the method overnight is the easiest one, and the one powering the seals wouldn't even notice the drain when he wakes up. Naruto said. I see. Well, I want you to make 1,000 of those seals for our armory, Dark Phoenix. Those seals will be classified as level 3 ones. By the way, how often can they be used? The Hokage asked. Normally they should hold about 10 to 15 uses. They are a prototype. I'm working on having them hold for 20 uses. Longer is impossible as the chakra conductive properties of the ink can't take more. As these seals constantly give and take a high amount of chakra by their nature, the wear makes them less effective over time. Naruto answered. Still, that's remarkable. I see your Fuinjutsu mastery was well earned. Okay, Kakashi, get to work. We need to find out the whole dimension of this conspiracy. Dark Phoenix, Jiraiya, come with me to my office, we need to discuss something. The Hokage ordered. Yes, Hokage-sama. Kakashi and Naruto said while Jiraiya answered, yes, sensei. Kakashi placed the first seal on himself and felt incredible about the amount of chakra he had available. He made the 10 shadow clones easily and then placed the chakra storage seals from Naruto on them. He and the shadow clones took off with the intention of searching the village for the parasitic seals. The Hokage sent his Umbu out of his office and Jiraiya set up his strongest privacy seals. Once that was done, Naruto took off his hood and the mask on his lower face. He had a suspicion what this conversation would be about. Okay, Naruto. I would like to know how you could identify the seal so easily. The Hokage asked. Okay. Well, it was twofold. The basis of the seal was described in some of the scrolls and books I found at my parents' house. As you know, the Uzumaki clan was famous for their skills in Fuinjutsu. The seal was originally used to contain prisoners in Uzushio. I guess that's the reason the Uchiha had that seal. After all, they were in charge of the military police. The intention is to keep prisoners weak to control them easier. You have one seal that leeches the chakra off a prisoner and one receiver. The stored chakra was mostly used to power the electric system of the village. The Uchiha seal though has been modified. First, they made it that only the master receiver seal could be seen by everybody. Second, the sub-receiver seals don't power buildings, they power people. Meaning, if they had gone through with their coup, they could have just leached off all the chakra from the ninjas and civilians in the village and added it to their own reserves temporarily. But with the probable use of jutsus, that would have been easy to balance out. The reason nobody ever thought of using the receiver seals that way is that it would overcharge the system and damage the chakra network of a person. They have made the sub-receiver locations similar to a device that powers up batteries. With the Uchiha being the batteries. You can imagine what would have happened if the seals had been activated. The rest of the village would have been too weak to resist and the Uchiha could just have recharged their reserves in their district. Naruto explained. Okay, that indeed is very troubling. But you didn't explain your second source of information. I know a bit about the Uzumaki seals from Kushina, that's why I called you all in. I recognized a similarity in the style. But how could you identify the other parts? Jiraiya asked. Naruto sighed. That much for keeping his knowledge a secret. But this was a matter of village security. If anybody used the seals in against them, it would be catastrophic. In the night after the Uchiha massacre, when all the ninjas were chasing Itachi, I sneaked into the Uchiha compound and collected as many scrolls as I could. I also took some weaponry which I could carry in a big sack. 2 of the scrolls I found described the seal. Naruto said. And you didn't tell me that before, why? The Hokage asked sternly. Because I thought that it was my damn right to take reparation for what those bastards did to me until Itachi killed them all. When I heard the Uchiha were massacred, I felt like throwing a party instead of the overall mourning the village did. Out of 100 attacks on me, 98 were done by those bastard Uchihas. In my opinion, Itachi is a hero. With what we found out today, I am only supported in that. If Itachi hadn't killed his clan, which can't have been easy for him, the village would have fallen into the hands of the Uchiha and I would either be dead, have found a way to run away, or be a mindless weapon under their command. Naruto answered, glaring at them, daring them to contradict him. Both men were shocked by the blatant hatred that Naruto showed, talking about the Uchiha. But the Hokage could understand him. Thanks to them messing things up all the time, he hadn't been able to properly protect Naruto. The Uchiha had had too much influence. And all caught culprits hadn't really been punished, as the responsibility for that fell under the power of the military police. I understand. Do you have any other important information I should be informed about? The Hokage asked. Besides that, I know all the weaknesses of the village's defenses. Naruto asked, shocking the two older men again. But how? Jiraiya asked. Being a prankster and playing pranks on the village had two purposes for me. On the one hand, it helped venting aggression and preventing me from going on a killing spree, and on the other hand, I trained my abilities in stealth, trap making, infiltration, assassination and information gathering. I know my only real chance to rise in the ranks is being better than anybody else. While the other genin of my year are starting to see me as more than an idiot prankster now, the majority of the village is so set in its beliefs that it would take several large-scale actions from me to ever change their minds about me. So, I decided I would train myself to be able to become a phantom. I know that skilled infiltration and assassination experts are rare. So I thought that could be the niche I could fit in. Especially as it seems to be something my ancestors were famous for. Naruto said. Yes, the Namikaze were indeed once known as the most feared assassins in the ninja world. Though from what I saw about your skills so far, I wouldn't have assumed that would be the area you'd want to work in. The Hokage asked. I tried to get my skills up in nearly all areas of shinobi abilities. But I definitely have the mind of an infiltration and assassination specialist. I have been forced to act from the shadows for years to not be killed in this damned village. So over the years my personality started to think that way. Do you know how often I entertain thoughts of how easy it would be to just kill some of the more annoying civilian counselors in their sleep and put the blame on Root? Naruto asked. You know about Root? The Hokage asked, shocked. Sure do, I know pretty much everything about them. I know their location, their training methods, how much of an idiot Danzo is, some of their members, and in what kind of businesses Danzo is involved. But as they are not really a problem as long as you can keep Danzo under control, I think they could be put to good use for the village. And I think you are already doing it if the increased presence of them in the village over the last few weeks is any indication. Naruto said. That'll be a slap in the face for Danzo that somebody noticed his ninja spying around. Jiraiya chuckled. What do you mean about Danzo being an idiot? The Hokage asked. The guy is caught up in the past. While he is still a powerful shinobi, him playing the cripple is more deception than anything else. He is as old as you are and his reserves are decreasing. It's utterly unrealistic to think he could ever be a good Hokage. The guy has so much information on the situation all around the elemental nations that he could have made Konoha the undisputed champion long ago. He claims he wants Konoha to be the strongest village, but he doesn't give it his full abilities. I think I should talk with him sometime about it. Naruto mused. Do you really think you could change his behavior? Jiraiya asked doubtfully. I am the great-grandson of the man he admired more than anybody else. And I am quite similar to him as well. My great-grandfather was the one who combined the cunning and sneakiness of a high-class assassin and the power of a combat ninja. He was the one to found Root and put Danzo in charge. And you don't really believe that Danzo doesn't know who I am? Naruto asked. Both Jiraiya and the Hokage had to admit that it was nearly impossible that Danzo didn't know about Naruto's heritage. For that he looked too much like Minato, and Danzo knew about Minato's heritage. Still, if you approach him, be careful, Naruto. Danzo is not someone you want to underestimate. The Hokage warned. I know, but the same is true for me. Naruto grinned. I can be 1 or 3,000. I can be everything I want to be. A plant, a mouse, a giant. It doesn't matter to me. He'll see what kind of threat I pose if he goes too far. And as I don't have any real attachment in the village that he could go after, well, he can't blackmail me. Both the Hokage and Jiraiya were worried about that last statement. But it was true nonetheless. The only one Naruto had any kind of attachment to was the Hokage himself and perhaps a little bit to Kakashi. But both were strong enough to look after themselves. And to have Naruto's potential pointed out like that could be more than a little bit unsettling. It only drove home how much they needed to keep the blonde in the village. The next morning a Naruto clone in his Dark Phoenix disguise brought the first quarter of the chakra storage seals the Hokage had ordered. These seals were tricky to make and it took a lot of energy from Naruto, which meant he couldn't mass-produce them like easier ones. Meaning he didn't have the reserves to use 1,000 shadow clones like normally. With these seals he could have 250 clones do one seal each per night. While he didn't power up the seals except the very basic level that was needed to store the chakra in the seal, it was still tiring him out. Therefore, once a clone had drawn and powered up a seal, it dispelled from being out of chakra. He handed the stack of seals over to the Hokage who wrote down the amount of money that would be transferred to Naruto's account. Thankfully the bank was under the control of the Hokage and the accounts were only kept with numbers to anybody not having the clearance. Meaning only the director of the bank, the Hokage, and the respective account holder would be able to connect a number to a name. Therefore, nobody would wonder how a genin was earning that much money regularly. Because selling so many new seals to the village earned Naruto a good amount of cash. He had easily paid for his new cloak which he was working on to prepare for being used for flying. Soon after the formalities had been taken care of, the clone dispelled, informing Naruto of the successful transaction. During the week Team 7 was kept in the village mostly for training and some D-rank missions, which was due to Kakashi having to find all the seals that the Uchiha clan had hidden in the village. All members of Team 7 noticed that Naruto was colder towards his teammates than even before, but he still kept everything professional. But Sakura obviously didn't learn how to read the mood of her teammate. "Naruto, why are you behaving like that?" she accused him. "Like what?" he asked, not interrupting his workout exercise of doing pull ups on a branch. "Like you are better than us and not even worth talking to you," she answered, glaring at him. "That might be because that's exactly how I see it. I could do much worse than that, but that would disrupt the functionality of this team," Naruto said, still not stopping. "What? How dare you say that? Sasuke was the rookie of the year. You were the dead last, you could never measure up to him," she yelled. "Didn't the last 1.5 months show you that the academy rating was rubbish? If I had wanted to, I could have been rookie of the year, but what would that get me? Acknowledgement and respect? The village is so screwed up in their minds that they would deny anything I did even if there was no doubt about it. They have placed Sasuke on a pedestal, not even caring that he isn't anything special in his clan. And what good did it do him? Inflating his ego so much that he lost sense of reality. It hindered his growth instead of furthering it. And you? Don't even let me start about your failures. You were physically one of the weakest members in our class, the only thing you really learned at the academy was theory, nothing remarkably useful in the field. Your taijutsu, while the forms are consistent, is too weak because you lack the power in any kick or punch and you tire way too early. You didn't train any more than what the instructors had us do during the practical lessons at the academy. The other time you spent stalking Emo over there and fantasizing about how to rape him. So, what if we meet a missing nin on a mission that separates our team? Talk him down with the knowledge about the elemental nations and show him how to do a nice flower bouquet? Those are supplementary skills for a ninja. We earn our money as thieves, killers, and soldiers. There is nothing romantic in our profession. Once we are out of the learning phase under our Jonin senseis, We are facing other ninjas that won't hesitate to kill us if their mission commands it. You either are good enough to survive or you die. Nothing more. Naruto said, never stopping doing his exercise. Kakashi hated how the mood in his team was, but he couldn't really do anything about it before he managed to break Sakura out of her fangirl mentality and got Sasuke knocked down from his pedestal of believing he was better than everybody else. At least the raven-haired boy had finally realized that Naruto was stronger than him. It was obvious in every single team training session. And as Naruto managed to keep his calm with Sakura and Sasuke and didn't let himself be tempted to just physically knock them down a bit, he didn't see a reason to interfere. He was doing his own exercises. He was busy improving his Raikiri. If he was to become Hokage, he needed to have some additional firepower in his arsenal. So far, he had increased the range of the attack. Seeing Naruto improve by leaps and bounds had also motivated him to get better. He had to admit he had relied too much on Obito's present. The Sharingan had a lure to make people lazy. It was easy to learn new jutsus. So there wasn't as much work involved as it normally would have been. But he hadn't been called a prodigy for nothing. He had made Genin with just 5 years of age and Chunin with 6. That was even faster than Itachi Uchiha. With 13 he had become Jonin. He was the son of the famous White Fang. He was the copy ninja, the man who had copied over 1,000 jutsus. It was time he backed up his reputation again. Whenever he didn't have to train his team or observe missions, he was working on mastering all the jutsus he had copied and he was writing them down for the Hokage library through a shadow clone. With the chakra seals Naruto had created, he could keep a clone running for 8 hours without using the Sharingan. That was more than enough time to write down his knowledge. Once the seals in the village would be found, he would use the shadow clones to train like Naruto did. While he could only do it on a smaller scale, the seals enabled him to get a good effect. After all, he only needed to master jutsus he already knew. He saw Sakura being gobsmacked over the lecture Naruto had given her and furious that neither her sensei nor Sasuke were defending her. Sakura, get back to your own exercises. Kakashi reminded her. Sakura looked ready to explode, but didn't dare ignore a direct order of her sensei. She started with running across the training field as fast as she could. Chapter 16, Deal with the Devil. Team 7 stood in the Hokage's office ready for a new mission. Kakashi had finished mapping the locations of the seals and while he was away with his team, Jiraiya and the Umbu would try to disable the seals in the most problematic locations like the Hokage Tower, the Ninja Academy, the Umbu headquarters and the guard area of the Shinobi prison. Team 7 ready for a C-rank mission. Kakashi said, shocking Iruka who was doing duty in the mission office today. A C-rank already? Aren't they a bit inexperienced for that? Iruka asked. That's not our first one, Iruka. We already did one and only because I had another important mission that kept me inside the village, we didn't do another yet. Kakashi said. Iruka was surprised. He wouldn't have thought that Team 7 would already be doing C ranks. Normally a team was kept doing D ranks for at least 4 to 6 months before a sensei decided they were ready for higher ranking missions. But if the rumors he had heard were true, Naruto was a lot better than he had shown at the academy and Kakashi was putting his team through harsh training. Okay, Kakashi. I think I have something fitting for you. We have a simple escort and protection mission to Wave Country. The client is a bridge builder called Tajuna who wants you to escort him back and protect him from bandits and the like until he finishes his bridge. The Hokage said. Mission accepted, Hokage-sama. Kakashi said. Very well. Send Tajuna in. The Hokage said loudly. An old man with a straw hat, holding a bottle which obviously held alcohol was standing in the door. Those kids are the protection I get? I paid for real ninjas to protect me, not those squirts. He protested. Naruto was in front of him before Tajuna even noticed he had left his position. Funny you say that. I know for sure that this squirt could cut your jugular vein before you even noticed me. He said, grinning evilly, making Tajuna gulp in fear. Ma, Naruto. No scaring the client. Kakashi said. You're no fun, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto pouted and instantly returned to his former position again without Tajuna being able to see anything. You don't have to fear anything, Tajuna. I'm a Jonin and those three are some of the best upcoming ninjas we have in the village. We are more than enough to deal with a few bandits. Kakashi assured Tajuna. Naruto saw a slight tensing in Tajuna when Kakashi mentioned the bandits. Was there more going on? He probably needed to make a small visit to the root base if he had the time before leaving. When are we leaving? He asked therefore. Tomorrow morning at 7 at the main gate. Kakashi answered. Naruto nodded and left the room in a body flicker. Tajuna looked at the spot where the blonde had been just a moment before. He really should have expected something like that from a ninja. After all, people told the most incredible things about them. Naruto reappeared in the woods close to the root base entrance. He made 5 shadow clones which he transformed into forest animals and transformed into a mouse himself. Then he sent 1 clone that hadn't transformed openly into the base. He stayed in the shadows, following his clone undetected. It was time to have a little conversation with Danzo. It took the untransformed clone 10 minutes to reach the area where the root base split into several areas. Once he was in the middle of the platform, he was stopped by 4 root ninjas in blank white masks that held him in position with Konoha to 4 vital areas. I want to talk to Danzo. Would any of you mind calling him? The clone said calmly, not caring that he was threatened. One of the 4 that held him gave a sign, which Naruto and his clone thought was the order to another ninja in the shadows. 5 minutes later Danzo came out. I am interested why you would come down here, Uzumaki. And more so I would like to learn how you knew about this place. Danzo asked. I have known about this place for 4 years now. And I know what this place is. The headquarters of your little Umbu subdivision route that should have been disbanded. But I also know that the old man just turned a blind eye because you were useful for the village. By the way, I'm only a shadow clone, so I'd advise you to keep your ninjas on a leash before they pop me, and I can't give you the message I was sent here to give you. The clone said, still keeping an emotionless face. Danzo gave the 4 a sign, which made them step back a little bit, still keeping the clone under control. Nice. Well, I guess you want to know the reason for my visit. The reason is twofold. My original wants to know if you have anything about the political situation of Wave Country because our new client is behaving a bit suspiciously. The second one is offering a mutually beneficial alliance. I know that you tried to get me into your unit since the day Kyubi was sealed in me. While I have no interest in becoming a mindless weapon, I know as well that with the public opinion of me, there will be hard times before I can live a halfway peaceful life in the village. And I also know that Itachi Uchiha killed the Uchiha clan on your orders. Naruto revealed. Danzo's eye narrowed. This boy knew way too much in his opinion. But an alliance with him could be useful. The boy was Jonin level and that at 12. He only needed experience, which would be no problem with how Kakashi trained his team. The boy would reach the rank he deserved within a year. Intriguing indeed. You don't sound like you mind the Uchiha clan being dead. Danzo stated. I don't mind the least. They were power-hungry bastards that would have risked a civil war in Konoha just to get the power. And my personal history with them is also nothing I care to remember. I won't shed a single tear about them. They tried to usurp the old man's power, he found out before they could strike, they paid the price. I know you have dealt with threats to Konoha for decades from the shadows. I also know you have ambitions to get the Hokage hat. Well, that I have to say is a delusion of yours. The daimyo would never appoint you as long as he has other suitable choices. And that Sharinan you have from Shisui Uchiha won't really help you as well. Have any Hyaga there and you are busted. Naruto said. Danzo looked like he wanted to attack, but Naruto just raised his hand. Hit a nerve? Don't worry, I didn't tell the old man about that little secret. While I didn't hate Shisui as much as other Uchihas, I didn't like him either. If you are into desecration of corpses is your problem, not mine. No, my interest is gaining power in this village. It will become much easier after I let loose in the Chunin exams. At the moment, there are only rumors that I held back at the academy. After the exams everybody will know exactly how much. Konoha has been sleeping in the last 12 years. First, we needed to rebuild after the Kyubi attack, then we needed to restructure after the Uchiha massacre, which cost us a fifth of our military. I know that the old man is planning to have Kakashi-sensei take over the hat to make sure I stay in the village. What he doesn't know is that it was my intention to get Kakashi take into the position. Naruto said, making Danzo look at him interested again. What reason would I have had to reveal my escape plans? If I had really intended to run, I could have done it easier. I am a master of the shadow clone jutsu and of seals. Making a clone that kept my place for a week then disappear, which would probably give me a few more days until anybody noticed I was missing, would have been easy. And nobody could have declared me a missing nin, because I wasn't a ninja yet. And within 1.5 weeks I'd have left Fire Country without problem. Meaning there would have been nothing the Hokage could have done to get me back. But what advantage would running away have given me after the Uchiha were killed? None. But it offered me an opportunity. The massacre left a vacuum of power that still isn't filled. In the past we had many powerful ninjas in the village, and with Uzushio, our sister village in my mother's home village, we had a very powerful ally. But we let Uzushio be destroyed by Iwa and Kumo because we didn't expect the attack. While the ninjas of Uzushio held their own for 3 days, the Konoha support only reached them on the 4th day. While Iwa and Kumo lost more ninjas than Uzushio did, they could afford it with their greater numbers. We let the White Fang commit suicide over a discrepancy in opinion. He saw his comrades more important than the mission. The other ninjas in the village saw it differently. But letting one of our legends die because of that? We are founded on the will of fire. If we didn't have the teamwork and high regard for the lives of our ninjas, we wouldn't have become as great as we are. Then the mistake with the Sunin. Only Jiraiya is currently loyal to Konoha. Orochimaru is a traitor and Tsunade caught in her grief. Means 2 of our most powerful ninjas are unavailable for us. The clone listed with arms crossed over his chest. Danzo could only agree. Much power had been lost to Konoha. That was one thing he held against the Sandaime. He had become too soft to lead. Next one is Itachi Uchiha. The fake missing nin who is one of the greatest heroes of the village. To kill your own clan, your own family to protect the village needs real guts. And to take all the blame to keep the village safe and be the eyes outside also is incredibly courageous. But it takes another very powerful ninja from the village. I don't need to mention the death of my parents, the ninjas that died against Kyubi, and the decreasing strength of both you and the Sandaime. We need more strong ninjas that can bear the burden of our village in the future. Within my generation there are some real talents. Shikamaru Nara is a genius and only needs to realize that his laziness can be the reason for friends to be in lethal danger. Ino Yamanaka is extremely talented in her clan's arts, but doesn't invest the necessary training to become really good over her fawning over Sasuke. Who is the next great example? The village fucked him up pretty good. He should never have been allowed to live on his own. A 7-year-old boy spoiled by the villagers just because he had the potential to activate the Sharingan without the necessary grounding by a family. Caught in the bad memories without new ones balancing them out. He should have been given help to overcome his grief and psychological help to get over the genjutsu attack put him under. He has talent, but only now under Kakashi-sensei it's showing its true dimension. Sasuke is no Ataki and will never be. But he can be great. If he only gets that damn superiority complex out of his mind. Shino Abarame is well versed in his jutsu, and if he follows my suggestions, he can become one of the most feared hunter nins ever. Same for Kiba and Yazuka. Get him over his brashness and put a bit of strategic thinking into him and he can become a great ninja. Hinata Hyuga has much potential, it just needs to be pulled out of her with supportive training, not the stupid beat-down method her clan used. To simply overlook her being a different element than the other members of her clan is so stupid. Next, the team under Guy. Niji is a genius who nobody bothered to show up his errors. Not that hard to believe with him being a genius and not being allowed to truly shine by the main branch of the Hyuga. If he gets over his fate obsession crap, he could become Jonin before all the others in his year and my year except for me. Then Lee. With his kind of handicap, Guy made a fantastic ninja out of him. Tenten only needs to branch out more in her specialty. We have the potential, but it needs to be properly cultivated. They all need about 3 years to develop to their full potential. But we also need a Hokage that can lead this potential in the right direction. The Sandaime is too worn out to be that leader. He wanted to hand over the hat already and lost his successor when Dad died, sealing Kyuubi and me. You are crippled from the war and wouldn't stand a chance against somebody like Itachi at full power. So while you are still powerful, you are not Hokage material. What you need is a symbol outside of your root that can be your representative. And that is the deal I have to offer. I will be your representative. You know my heritage. I am the prince of this village. And in a few months that will be announced. I think very much the same way my great-grandfather did. We need to get the village back up to power. And we need symbols out there that can show the other villages that we didn't lose any of our strength since the Third War. While most of my classmates didn't make the cut, that problem is being taken care of since I woke up the Sandaime from his reluctance to act. He wants to hand over the hat to Kakashi-sensei with the most pressing problems solved or on the way there. I can be the leader of the new generation once they get old enough to take over the village. I don't want to become Hokage soon. It will be early enough if I can get the hat in my 30s or early 40s. I want to get a name out there. I want to make them fear the name Naruto Namikaze. And honestly, why would I want to be chained to an office before it's necessary? Naruto asked. Danzo had to admit he was impressed with this boy. What he had done so far was really cunning. With him indicating he would have run if he could, he had forced the Sandaime to take action. To lose a ninja of Naruto's potential would be a catastrophe for Konoha. More so as Naruto held the Kyuubi. And now he even had too much information en route to have him forced to act somehow. So what do you want for being my representative? Danzo asked. Access to your training facilities and information. Mostly information though at the moment. Your true power is not your skill or the number of your ninjas. They might look impressive, but mostly they are a high Chunin level or low Jonin level. You have some outstanding ones in your forces, like Fu and Torun, but they are still no match to someone like Kakashi-sensei. Your true power is based on information. You know as well as I do, if the Hokage had wanted to stop you, he could have destroyed all this here and executed you for treason. But he knows that there are threats you just need to take care of under the hand. And your information network is too valuable to just throw it away. Naruto said. I see, very interesting. I agree to your conditions, Namikaze. It will be interesting to see if you indeed have the strength to reach your goals and bring Konoha back to the top. I knew the Nidaime very well, and if you are only half the man he was, you indeed have a glorious future before you. Well, let's see your request for information on Wave Country. The country, while still officially ruled by their daimyo, is under the control of the businessman Gato. He took over all their shipping industry and effectively cut them off of the mainland. Anybody opposing him is killed. He managed to suppress the people by publicly executing the leader of their resistance in the most brutal and bloody way. Gato is also one of the greediest and richest people in the elemental nations. He set up his base east of a fisher village close to the coast to Fire Country. His personal guards are thugs he hired. From what I have on them, they are small fry for any ninja. The only dangerous thing about them is their numbers. He has around 500 in his main base and another 500 on call in a camp on the other side of the island. Danzo said. Naruto nodded, thinking about the information. So to really get Wave Country back to its feet, we need to take out Gato, kill his thugs and let Tajuna finish his bridge. Which means the mission is no C rank, but probably an A rank. I guess he occasionally also hires missing nins to take care of opponents. If he betrays them, nobody would complain. Okay, well, that will be an interesting test of my abilities. Konoha wouldn't mind any additional funds as well. I should be able to take them all out in the first week depending on which missing ninja Gato hired. But if he is as greedy as you say, he could have hired a really strong one that he intends to take out once he is weakened from a fight against us. Thanks for the information, the clone said and dispelled. The original Naruto meanwhile had read up on missing nins in the area in the Root Archive and come up with a number of potential opponents he would probably face. While his clone kept Danzo busy, he had sneaked out again, nobody being any the wiser. He had been there in person and taken a few things. One of Danzo's special bingo books, for example. That's it for this reading. Hit like and subscribe for a free ticket pass going to the different worlds of anime fanfictions. Looking forward to having you on board again.